Tips analysis. I hope you're feeling positive because this is the Introverted Positron and welcome to another episode of Tips Analysis. Today, I want to talk about Mario, more specifically where I think Mario might go from here. More specifically than that, it's because of the fact that Mario Odyssey recently released. The odd thing about Mario is that it has had its very stagnant moments in terms of its gameplay. I'm not trying to say in any means, but that its games have ever been that bad. None of them have been that bad. Outside of maybe Paper Mario, I think it's been a little bit downhill. But in terms of the mainline Mario games, I don't think that there's a single bad one in the bunch. My least favorite is probably 3D Land because I felt the game was far too easy, even in its extra content, and among other things. So it's interesting to look at Odyssey because the last time that the series really had a major adjustment, a major change to its formula was really with Sunshine. And I say Sunshine and not Galaxy because of the fact that as much as Galaxy is an interesting game and it kind of introduces the whole spin mechanic that's reintroduced in Odyssey and other games, at the same time, it's really just an adjustment of what Flood was. So it doesn't revolutionize it so much as improve on that concept. And also, it just went back to a more linear way of looking at things, with some adjustments to some of the physics in regards to like walking around small planetoids and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, Odyssey's awesome. Odyssey's awesome. Galaxy's awesome. Odyssey is just awesome. But it didn't do that much to really adjust what the series was better was what it was doing. But Sunshine went with more platformer elements and then introduced Flood, which was an adjustment mechanic to your jumping ability and also give you abilities to do other things. So in that, I see that as the most significant change since Mario 64. So those two games, and then we got Galaxy, and then things kind of went stagnant for a little while because we got Galaxy 2, we got 3D Land, and we got 3D World, all of which are kind of along the same formulas as Galaxy is. Even if there's an adjustment in terms of like the power-ups and stuff like that, it wasn't a change for the series. It was more of a back to basics, and let's just kind of work with it in a slightly more 3D setting because those games are still all very linearly laid out for the most part. Anyway, so now we have Odyssey, which is an amazing game. It's as I've said before, it's my favorite 3D Mario game, period. And it brought back those elements and not just the platform elements, but just improved on them, but made them into something else because it made it into more about exploring the set number of kingdoms that are very large, about using Mario's mechanics to get around more, which is something that was missing a little bit in the other ones. And it's even less set up for it in the sense that you can kind of do things in your own way once you start looking at it. It's a game about mastering Mario's techniques that allows you to get around more easily, and that's the best part about the game is improving in terms of how you control Mario as you go through it and realizing you can do these lots of different mechanics that allow you to get through things quicker. It's a game that's kind of almost made to be speedrun in a sense because it feels like the mechanics are just deep enough for it to be that interesting enough to speedrun. It's the first game I ever tried to speedrun myself. I had fun with it. I've done like 2 hours, which isn't an amazing time, but it's certainly faster than I would have ever tried to beat a Mario game in the past. So yeah, the question is where does it go from here? The capture mechanic gave you something different in regards to the fact that it allowed you to swiftly change between mechanics in the game. It was very well done, very fluid, and it just allowed you the whole exploration mechanic of Odyssey to be that much more amazing because of how dynamic everything felt. And all of that is just so much fun. It's such a fun game to play through. But it leaves me with the question of where do we go from here? Has Mario explored everything it can? Can it do any more with what it has? Can it expand upon what it has and just work with that for a while? And honestly, I think that's probably what they're going to do. I don't think we're going to see another Mario game for a while that doesn't use something very similar to the capture mechanic. It doesn't go more with either being the 2D style or the 3D style, but with more sandbox elements to it. I think that's going to be more of the norm for Mario for a little while. But how is it going to change is more the question I'm trying to answer, and to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. There's so many directions that Nintendo could take it with Mario. Is just the simplicity of what Mario is in terms of the fact that it's a jumping mechanic. It's Mario can jump and get to different places, and then just kind of expand on that. That's the whole formula for Mario right there, is jump, add in power-ups and other things, and you're good to go. Of course, it's a little bit different than that. Nintendo always has their own themes in terms of how weird things seem at times, how crazy things are in terms of the Mushroom Kingdom and Mario in general. But nonetheless, we still have more we can do with it. So what they've done so far is, as always, we're going to be looking back on quick patterns. So in terms of going from Mario 64, which was the first 3D game, to Mario Sunshine, they kind of did more of an adjustment mechanic. They decided to go from having Mario just be like basic 3D Mario to having Flood, which was an awesome mechanic. And then from there they went to Galaxy, which was just kind of an adjustment of that mechanic with more linear elements, and 3D World was kind of the same. And then finally we got to Odyssey, where they decided to go back to Sandbox, but instead to deepen the mechanics and give you Cappy, which allowed you to do quick jumps to new mechanics and kind of just learn how to use everything in your environment. So how do they expand upon that concept? How do they continue to make it more interesting? And Mario has always been based in the idea of having power-ups, of changing up how you play the game very suddenly and for short periods of time. So the capture mechanic was really just something that was going to come out eventually anyway. And that way it's not really new, but in terms of the way it's executed, it makes for much more variable options, and also makes it so that you can have tons of ways of doing it. It feels very natural in the way they did it. And that's the big difference from the classic power-ups to Cappy. That, and of course the idea of just like taking over an enemy. But that kind of idea has been there for a long time, because we've had power-ups. They're similar to the Fire Bros and the Hammer Bros in past Mario games. So controlling enemy powers is not a new thing in the series. But the way they did it here was different. So how can they go about that then? Do they introduce something like Flood? Do they go back to classic Mario for a little while, just make everything a little bit simpler? What can they do to really expand upon what Odyssey has created? And I think the the only real answer to that is to do another game for now. But beyond that, in terms of like introducing someone new to Mario, I don't think that there's really tons they can do at this point, to be completely honest. I think they can definitely adjust the mechanics. I think that they can go back and remake Mario. I think they can go back and make something brand new and in a different direction that's separate from it. But I don't know, outside of just improving everything, if they could really expand upon what Odyssey has done. And that's not to say that Odyssey is a perfect game. It's not. In fact, it has its problems, and I hope that in the next game that they really just improve on it. I don't like to see games that are exactly the same. For instance, I don't like Galaxy 2 because it feels like an expansion in Galaxy 1, not in terms of the sense of the mechanics. The mechanics are almost exactly the same, but just in terms of it feels like they added more levels to Galaxy 1. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of Galaxy 2 in terms of its content, even though I love playing the game. But what they can do from here, I think, is that they can just make everything better. They can make more enemy power-ups. They can make more enemies and make them more necessary to use, in a sense. They can make more challenging areas where you have to use Mario's mechanics a little bit more succinctly and accurately to do it, as endgame requirements and things like that. But ultimately, I think in terms of the direction they've gone with Mario, I think that they've hit the end of what they can do with it. I think Cappy is the best version of what they're going to be getting in terms of being able to use Mario's classic power-ups and all that stuff. The question then is only, what can they do to improve the platforming? What can they do to change Mario's platforming in general? And it's not to do things like add weapons to the game or anything like that. I don't think Mario's that kind of game. But to find more interesting ways of doing levels, of using the mechanics that they've made, I think that's what they can do for now. And then from there, we may very well see a complete rewrite of what Mario is. Kind of like Breath of the Wild, where they go back and they're like, okay, what can we do to bring Mario back to its very roots, and then kind of expand from the bottom again, kind of go in a different direction with the series, and see where it goes from there. I think that's what we're going to see eventually, but I don't think that's going to be for a while. But the only reason I say this is because I think that we're at the end of what Mario can do in the path that they chose to take for the first time. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I could be, and probably very wrong. I'm probably just not thinking of ways to use Mario's mechanics and the idea of jumping and adding more abilities to that and how they can go about it. But I think outside of adding something that would feel very gimmicky, more so than Cappy does. Cappy is a gimmick, but it doesn't feel gimmicky. It feels very well done and very natural for the game, but I think that that's what they're going to have to avoid, is being in that place. So hopefully they can do that, and hopefully we'll see some amazing Mario games in the future. Mario is one of my favorite franchises. I've always loved playing it. Mario 64, awesome game. Mario Sunshine, awesome game. Same with Galaxy and 3D World. And I hope that they can continue to make great Mario games, and I hope that they can continue to make it evolve as we go along. And the only question that really comes to mind is, how are they going to evolve it? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps with the channel, and it's always appreciated. I'm going to leave some links here so you can go check out some other stuff on my channel, or you can always just search the channel. There's lots of stuff for people, playlists, and all that stuff. And so on that note, thank you again. Have a great day, and remember to keep positive.